At any point in life in a capitalist society, one proletariat has to always pass through the typical 9-to-5 job. The exhausting, soul-drenching, energy-sucking 9-to-5 job. Whether it is in an office cubicle, a McDonald's kitchen, or an Amazon factory line, it equally exploits your energy and life so a few rich bourgeois can profit off of more than you do. It is what we call wage slavery. This concept of wage slavery is as old as time itself, a direct descendant of actual slavery sugar-coated in the illusion of free choice. Few people can live the life of the wealthy and opulent because they're direct descendants of those who were already wealthy and opulent. Executives, monarchs, politicians were upper-class wealthy citizens already. The rich get richer and the poor stay poor. This is the so-called American dream that somehow has infested the rest of the world, a lie perpetuated to create the illusion that you can too become rich and wealthy by just social laddering your way through hard work alone. It is only meant, however, to exploit your hard work so a very few select oligarchs can pocket up way more capital than you already do. So your capital is nothing more than pocket change compared to the massive billionaire wealth that these few pigs accumulate. In your pursuit, perhaps, of self-employment to escape the wage slavery to the 9-to-5 job, you might have thought to yourself, why don't you just become a YouTuber? We have been fooled into thinking YouTube is a job without a boss, or at least with yourself as your own boss. But the reality of this is more nefarious, since YouTube is no different than any other 9-to-5 job, at least for most of us mere mortals. In this video, I want to go to the core of all grifts on YouTube and explore the similarities between YouTube and the usual wage slavery job. Because if you want to eradicate all the other grifts on this platform, you have to rip apart the root grift behind them all, and that is YouTube headquarters. First, we must start at the very beginning. The story of YouTube's birth is a story told and retold many times, but we can for now focus on our current CEO, Susan Wojcicki. Susan's net worth of 2022 is estimated to be $765 million US. She's from a wealthy family indeed. She was involved in the founding of Google, becoming Google's first marketing manager in 1999. She proposed Google to acquire YouTube in 2006 and later became CEO of YouTube by 2014. Other similarly opulent red flags from the Wojcicki family is that Susan's mother, Esther, mentored Steve Jobs' daughter in high school, and similarly Susan's father, Stanley, fled from Poland with his brother and mother when communists came to power. You'd think that these obvious red flags for our rich and wealthy descendants are nothing more than just mere coincidences, but think again. Susan Wojcicki is mainly the boss at YouTube and hence your boss at YouTube, and it's pretty much run on her whims. If it wasn't for her, YouTube wouldn't have its machine learning algorithm under her command. Let me say that the main purpose of this machine learning algorithm is far from what anyone can tell you how this algorithm works. A lot of YouTube may lead you to think that this algorithm's purpose is designed to simulate what the audience wants to watch, serving the interests of the viewers. If this was the case, I precisely wouldn't be getting recommended so many videos from Sam Hyde or Jordan Peterson so far. Ironic, isn't it? Let's just say that the algorithm's real purpose is to benefit those who are already successful enough on YouTube to be rich and famous more than the rest. YouTube's ecosystem is like a matryoshka doll of power imbalance. It's not just the wealthy, opulent people who control YouTube's platform, but there's also a subset of wealthy, opulent, or famous people who are the biggest influences inside the platform. Inside the wealthy and opulent influential YouTube creators, if you want to become one of them, you must be blessed by their presence alone, hence making you a direct descendant of them. This has happened time and time again. Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, Keemstar, Ethan Klein, even more egregious ones like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, or PragerU. These are all greatly influent in a platform because of how rich and famous they are inside the platform. And it's even funny to consider how sometimes some of them have even connections with those who control the platform on top. So for the sake of brevity, let's just say that all these few people are the executives at your job at YouTube and therefore your bosses. But JMAA, you say, how is even YouTube comparable to a real 9-to-5 job if I had the freedom of choice of expressing myself through the content I want within reasonable guidelines? That's the magic. You don't really have that freedom of choice. They own you, even indirectly. Let me explain why. YouTube has many similarities with a regular 9-to-5 job, but starting by not just your so-called bosses, but also by how you make content in the first place. Of course, you can upload anything on YouTube within reasonable limits in the community guidelines, that's for certain, but if you want to be actually earning anything on YouTube, even money or subscribers, you have to grind it in a way that offers value that YouTube headquarters itself can offer to their viewers. The metrics or analytics in your YouTube channel and videos already can tell you how valuable you are to your bosses at YouTube, how much worth you are for them, and what you can think generates the most views, subscribers, and general metrics in this platform. Trending topics, generic content, consume products, more than actual artistic expression or creativity. Mr. Beast is one of the most successful creators on this platform for the sole reason that his content is to YouTube what Big Macs are to McDonald's. His content is designed to cater to the most audience possible, regardless of any demographic, thus making it a generic consume product. That's what YouTube mostly wants you to create, not content that stands out from the rest, not the maximum expression of creativity, but a more valuable consume product that can generate them a lot of ad revenue. And any very successful form of creative expression that is not just a mere generic consume product is an exception and not a rule. And even then, if you're already really big enough on YouTube, forget about even abiding by YouTube's community guidelines, because your bourgeois status can make you get away with anything. In the past, I've talked about how there's a right-wing bias on YouTube's algorithm. This is no coincidence. These sorts of rich, wealthy, right-wing channels have way more media literacy and media funding than anyone else, and their channels have a clear massive advantage over left-leaning channels, even if they break YouTube's TOS or anything, such as the case of Matt Walsh, who can get away with harmful transphobia in his videos. But when someone like Jessie Gender calls him out on his lies, she gets a community guidelines strike while he doesn't. Because Matt Walsh's YouTube channel is wealthier than Jesse's, he can basically get away with anything, breaking YouTube's community guidelines or terms of service pretty much, because he already makes more money to YouTube headquarters than Jesse does. And there are similarly huge YouTube channels who can similarly get away with so much. In the same vein, there are these many YouTube gurus or even the YouTube Creator Academy and the sort to tell you how you should work at YouTube content creation, similarly to your boss and the general education system for poor people who tell you as a 9-to-5 worker how you should work. This algorithm, these channels, this system, they're all designed only for way bigger and wealthier channels to get wealthier, and so the poor channels stay poor. Why else do you think there are all these celebrities and mainstream media channels who are already really huge on YouTube? And this is a core problem of capitalism at its core, a system that benefits a few wealthy people at the expense of so many that are not so wealthy. YouTube is nearly identical to a regular capitalist 9-to-5 wage slavery job. The only difference is that you have the illusion of self-employment and being your own boss, when in reality your boss is YouTube itself, who can even throttle your content, demonetize you, or even kick you out of the platform, ruining your livelihood at any whim. If you thought you have the freedom of choice of making the content you want on YouTube, you'd be clearly mistaken, at least if you want to seriously earn a living on this platform. I've been desperately living decades on YouTube under this sort of YouTuber internship without earning any revenue from this platform. I've been fearing that YouTube might easily ruin my livelihood anytime. I've been living under YouTube's tyranny for so long, and my advice to you is to not fear YouTube. This is the same lying of the American dream that you've been lied about, sugar-coated under the big tech costume that big tech companies show to you. And if you want to do something about it, I'll just let you decide with all this information what you can do. I'm just a messenger.